Boom. All right. Alrighty, guys. Hopefully, welcome to tonight's training session. It is Wednesday, June 28th. I'm hoping everybody has had a good day today. Tonight, we're going to be going over markets today, kind of what we were looking at. Did not take a trade on the live session, but did take a trade later in the day in the PM that we alerted in the Discord. Some people saw it, and I want to talk about that trade a lot tonight because there was a lot of things, especially watching the Discord and watching the people that took the trade. There was a lot of emotion, and I want to talk about the specific setup, what we did right, what we did wrong, and kind of how we can use that to our advantage going into the future. So first thing I want to talk about is just overall buys today, because there was also a setup on ES that I did not take. That was an A+ setup, but the reason I didn't take it is because Powell was speaking at the time. Now, I should have, looking back, I mean, it's good that I'm practicing, that habit of not trading when Powell's speaking, but at the same time, possibly maybe entering in lower size to take advantage because it was a A+ setup. So going into today, I did have a very bullish bias, and the reason is because previous day, right, we had our daily fair value gap. We had a huge move to the upside. Once we see, displacements towards the upside after putting in this new low and retracing back to discount, especially in this, in this big range here, we're now pulled back to discount. We see market structure shift, big displacement. We have a breaker block here. I'm expecting us to pull back into this and then meet that recent buy side level, right? So that's exactly what we happened today. Ended up getting more slower action in the morning. We could see we kind of took this sell side level. I did expect to see seek and destroy model today, which we actually, I don't think we ended up seeing it, to be honest. Actually, wait, I think we did actually. No, that London, or the New York AM got swept. Oh no, we did see it. We did see it. Okay. So going into the open, I was long biased, but I did want to see ES and NQ sell off just a little bit more, especially more on NQ, because I wanted to see us come in a discount. I was more waiting for either, are we going to continue to sell off into this breaker block and possibly into 1 hour fair value gap? If we're looking at the 1 hour here, I was looking to see this fair value gap met. Now, we were in this 1 hour fair value gap here, but we didn't retrace to discount. Oh, that's not. We didn't retrace to discount here. We were very close, but we never actually retraced to discount. So I was kind of just waiting for the displacement up to tell me market wants to go higher, right? The draw on liquidity was that external level. So what do we look? If we zoom out in the 1 minute, this was our clear setup today on ES. We can see we put in a low. What do we wait for? That market structure shift. We have a clean, nice little 3 minute breaker block here. Gets pulled over. Going back to that 1 minute chart. Pull back to that 1 minute fair value gap. This fair value gap on the 1 minute becomes silver bullet. Notice I don't really believe any fair value gap here was silver bullet until we got that break of structure. I was possibly expecting this fair value gap to be silver bullet, but since we never ever took that low and there was really no break to go lower, this would mean this is it, because we had that break of structure and then pulled back to the fair value gap, targeting the opposing liquidity pool. So this was A+ setup, but I did not take this because Powell was speaking at the time. But again, this is everything we want, right? Liquidity swept at the lows, higher time frame PD array, right? Breaker block bouncing off that. Wait for displacement higher. We get a market structure shift, right? Big move to the upside. Pull back to fair value gap. Did we pull back to discount? We didn't pull back to discount, but we don't really need to pull back discount in this case because we have this breaker block and fair value gap. Bounce off this, and then we can just see we go straight towards that buy side level. So this was a really nice setup, but didn't end up taking it because of Powell speaking. And then after that, just kind of started to chop a little bit, kind of had this broadening range, put in some lows, bounced, and then we saw that external level being met, big displacement back lower. And then let's talk about that PM trade that we ended up taking. So no trade in the morning. Again, because Powell was speaking, no real confidence on anything, right? Better to just manage risk on that case. So let's take a look at NQ here. Again, same bias on NQ going into today. I did want to see us retrace into this 4 hour inverse fair value gap, but we never ended up selling off into it. Again, we put in a premature low, and we ended up getting a just big run up to that buy side level at near the open. Actually, not near the open. We kind of chopped at the open. Pretty much every day this week, we've had first 30 minutes to an hour of the market has been pretty choppy, and then we end up getting some sort of move later in the day. So looking at this, We ended up putting a SMT at the lows here. And this should have actually been a clear long. Looking back, I think I might have been a little bit too picky with this. And I think I've been noticing that recently. And I'll tell you guys why. Now, right when we get this move, I was more picky in the sense that I wanted to see us come down to this 4-hour inverse fair value gap, right? We have a clear 4-hour inverse fair value gap. I want to see price come down. We haven't reached a discount, right? We haven't reached discount. It lines perfectly. I still want to see us come back lower. Now, even though we have an SMT at the low and we get a big displacement higher and then pull back to that fair value gap, this still kind of is, you know, sketchy, as well as we already swept that high, right? So buy side's obviously higher. We have a bullish bias going into the day, but this kind of action was just very sketchy to trade in the morning. That's why there was no really setup for me on NQ, to be honest. We had, you know, big move up, big move down, big move up, big move down. And then we had, you know, that trend move to then take out that external buy side level. So after that, let's talk about the PM trade. So looking at a 1-hour time frame here, we have a 1-hour fair value gap and we have relative equal highs, right? This was our draw on liquidity going into today. NQ, get a big move up. We sweep these highs. We come into this bearish 1-hour fair value gap above. And what do we see? We see internal liquidity being swept. We see a big move back down with good displacement. What's my bias here, right? Obviously going to be short. Why am I on Ethereum? What the hell? So what do I wait for? I want to see some sort of pullback. I want to see a pullback to discount a discounted fair value gap. And I want to wait to see the reaction, right? So I drew in this 5-minute inverse fair value gap because it aligned with this 5-minute here as well. We had a 15-minute up here, but I drew in the 5-minute inverse fair value gap to get an accurate area. Draw in my fib, high to the low. You can see we came up, no discount here, right? When we rejected this, I was expecting this 5-minute fair value gap to still hold and see higher because discount was not met yet, right? We come up, right when we reject this level, I enter short. We reject, pull back to fair value gap. I enter in short with half my size. And the reason I enter half my size here is because my stop has to be a little bit looser, right? That's a, 21-point stop loss. So I traded half my size and I was targeting that recent low, right? Expecting this to now become lower resistance liquidity. Now, this is what I want to kind of talk about today because this trade, there's a lot of stuff that we can take out of this. The first thing I want to talk about is just psychology aspect of this trade. Because I alerted this in the Discord, and the way that I kind of saw people reacting to this was very hard, and I want to talk about that to make sure everybody's on the right page, and we're all practicing good habits here, okay? Now, number one, this model that we're trading is a higher time frame short, which means most of the time, we're used, when I'm taking trades on the lives, I'm used to taking 1-minute setups, right? 1 minute to 5-minute setups. This is like a 15-minute model, right? 15-minute high gets swept, big displacement back down. That's our market structure shift. If we were trading a 1-minute model, right, our market structure would be somewhere up here and then we short, and then this would be our price target. But this is our market structure shift, right? So we're trading a way bigger time frame model, and we have to take that into account, and we have to recognize that we're going to have to be a little bit more patient with this trade, right? It's not going to come easy. It's not going to be super fast like how we normally expect it, right? You're going to have to hold it for a little bit longer. So I entered in short, put my stop high, and I waited. Again, had a clear model, A+ setup, wait for external high to be swept, displacement back down, pull back to discount. I'm expecting to see a sell-off. Now, going into this trade, I said, my price target on this wants to be this low. This is what I think the draw on liquidity is, and I want to see this get targeted. I had confidence that this low would be sell side, and I would want to see a sell-off to take this low. I said, if anybody is going to take some sort of partials, if you want to take partials, you should take partials at this low here. Now, I ended up not taking partials here because I wanted to treat this like any other trade. If I'm looking at a 15-minute chart here, and I think this is a 1-minute, right? I'm looking at this chart. Imagine this is a 1-minute chart that we normally would trade, right? If we're normally trading this, what do we expect to see? If I'm trading this short here, I'm expecting to see the draw on liquidity become number one, this being low-hanging fruit, and then this being our external sell side level, right? So that's what I did. I entered in short. And I kept in mind that this is a end of day play. Market closes right. Market closes right here. So I have to be careful knowing I don't really have much time to work with to hold this. So we got a big sell-off, and we go 5 points, 6 points away from hitting my price target for me to take off my full position, and it doesn't get hit. Now, a lot of people made money on this trade because I told the scale here. Personally, I wanted to hold it and see this low getting taken. I was expecting to see more of a sell-off. Now, I have to take into account we're in the PM now. The biggest thing I want to talk about in this charting session is when something does not go your way, and you have to recognize that and learn when to admit that you're wrong, and learning to protect yourself. Now, going into this trade, I would take this trade 9 out of 10 times. Liquidity swept, internal swept, market structure shift, pull back to discount. We get a rejection. I enter short, right? Beautiful. And this is a beautiful trade right here, right? Now, once we come down here and I see this big move to the upside, this is when I start to realize and start to think I might need to get out of my position soon because the draw could now reverse back to this previous high. So what do I look for, right? What do I look for? Well, I look at the 5-minute and I say, okay, right when we sold off here, if we're bearish, any sort of bearish PD array that we're forming should be respected, right? But look at this. We get this big move down. Candle wicks back up after sweeping sell side here. We have a bearish fair value gap, and it gets disrespected. It gets absolutely ran through. So at this point in time, I have to realize and say, okay, Justin, I entered in short here. I just realized I failed to take profits, right? And a lot of new traders, you guys are screaming. You're very frustrated, and I get it. I understand, right? Especially when you get this kind of move. Again, guys, I'm up, $5,000, $6,000 down at the lows, right? I'm winning, $7K if I get my price target, and then I see this move up, right? Yeah, of course that's upsetting, but that's because you're so married to the position and so obsessed with the outcome that you start thinking unrealistically and start struggling to, make a decision on what you're going to do. You're stuck. You're frozen. You start questioning. You're like, should I take it off? I don't know. This moves, I don't know. Should I take it off or should I, keep it on? I don't know. Trust my. So being able to withstand action like this and follow whatever your rules are is key, right? But there is times where you have to recognize when the trade flips against you. Now, you might say, or I always say this, right? There's only two outcomes. You either get stopped or your price target gets hit. Now, most of the time that's the case. If you're in a trade, most of the time that's the case. But for this specific trade, I have to take into account market's about to close, right? Market's about to close. I have to take this off before market close. I'm not holding this in a market. Number two, we just came down to my price target. If I'm bearish and I'm expecting the market to come down to this sell side level, we should be respecting every sort of bearish PD array that we come into, right? So we have a 5-minute bearish PD array. It gets absolutely ran through. And then what happens? We get a 5-minute bullish fair value gap created, which then becomes BPR. Fast fair value gap, 2 fair value gaps overlapping. Strong hold. What am I expecting here? A big push up. So I recognize that. I say, okay, guys, I failed to scale at the lows. Most of the time, I would still hold this, but the market is telling me we are going to reverse. Market's telling me we're going to reverse. If I'm looking at this and I'm still looking at this overall model, I have to take into account what the market's telling me. You have to be able to switch your bias, right? Again, trading, you're constantly being fed data. If the market tells you you're on the wrong side at that specific time, you have to take that and admit that. Not a lot of people can do that. You guys are afraid to take off and admit that you're somehow wrong. You're not wrong, okay? Push your ego to the side. You're not wrong. That's not what trading is about. It's recognizing the situation and protecting yourself, okay? Push your ego to the side. Stop trying to be right. I don't fucking care if I'm right, okay? My job is to take good trades and protect myself when something is going against me. So, at this point in time, I told everybody in the Discord I'm taking off my full position in profit. Going to the 1 minute, when I saw us come down and continue to hold this 5-minute fair value gap after sweeping this low, having big displacement back up, I'm expecting the draw to be this high. We come down, right when we get this push up, right? This is a bull model. 5-minute PD array, market structure shift, pull back to 1 minute fair value gap, continue to hold. I'm expecting a move to the upside. So I sell my position right here in a little bit of profit. Now, could I have made a lot more money on this trade? Of course. If I scaled down here, maybe scaled, more down here, then maybe took off the rest here, absolutely I would make more money. But there's nothing I can do about that except looking back and saying, you know what, maybe I should have scaled here. But at the same time, you have to recognize if I have confidence in my trade, I always know in the long run, wins like this are always going to outweigh my losses. Dude, looking at this trade, I still made $2,000 on this trade from scaling here when I realized I was going to be flipped against me. Okay? This is all it takes. Literally one trade. All it takes is one trade for you to make back whatever losses you've been on, whatever loss streak you've been on, right? But if you're focused on making that money back like this, you wouldn't have taken it off here. You would have let yourself get stopped because you're too scared to admit you're wrong, and you're too scared, and you're focused on making whatever money you've lost, and you're trying to make it back, and you're focused on making money. When you're focused on making money, you don't want to admit you're wrong. You can't accept that. You don't want to accept that you're somehow wrong, okay? So you let yourself get stopped when you don't need to, right? You let yourself get stopped when you don't need to. And in this specific case, being able to recognize that, recognize certain situations and say, okay, Justin, market's about to close. We're in a PM. I had confidence with this trade, right? We had a big sell-off, but this low got swept, and then we had just big displacement back up. I'm being fed data right now, new data, that's telling me market might not want to go lower right now. Market might not want to go lower right now. So we have sell side swept, big move back up, pull back to 5-minute. I recognize that. Say, you know what, Justin? I'm okay taking this offer here. I'm still in profit. I'm not going to let myself get stopped out just to then see that I'm wrong. I can see I'm wrong right now. And guess what? I'm not even wrong. You shouldn't even think about it in that sense. I'm not wrong. Because this trade, beautiful entry, beautiful sell-off, 6 ticks off my stop, partials taken here. That is when you can say to yourself, you know what? That was a good trade. Maybe maybe next time I can take partials at that low, take at least a couple off, not even half, right? Again, because most of the time, if I'm taking this trade on a 1 minute, I'm not taking any partials off here. My first partial is going to be this. This normally would be low-hanging fruit. And I know in the long run, looking at this trade, most of the time, this will get hit. And I know that. And I'm confident with that. If I have a confident conviction and I have confident draw on liquidity, I'm okay. Sometimes you'll get stopped with that. You have to realize that. When we talk about recognizing building good habits versus bad habits, and recognizing even if you lose, you could be taking a good trade. And even if you win, you could be taking a bad trade and building bad habits, right? So it's recognizing that. And this is a really good example. That's why I really touching on this charting session is because there's so many things we got out of this, and so many things from me as well, seeing you guys in the chat of how we can use this to our advantage, right? Number one, first thing I noticed, patience aspect. You guys are way too emotional and way too attached to the position. I alert some sort of trade. It starts selling off. Like, let's say, all right, I alert my trade here, and then this sell-off happens. And at this point in time, right here, I get message in the Discord saying, fuck no, like I missed the trade, I hate myself. Like, bro, what? What are you saying? You guys gotta relax, okay? You gotta relax. You are way too attached to the position, way too attached to the money, way too attached to the outcome of the trade. You need to disconnect yourself from that, okay? It is purely just a repeatable system that when we see, we execute, okay? Now, if you're too emotional, cut back on your size. Again, I am not here to make you money. I'm sorry, I'm not. I'm here to whoop you in shape and tell you what you need to focus on, what you not need to focus on. And focusing on making money through trades like this is going to end up building bad habits. And those bad habits become being impatient. You don't want to wait for your price target. You get greedy, possibly maybe take it off too early, maybe take it off too late. All of these things come with that added emotion. And I'm trying to slap your fucking face saying, bro, stop thinking about this. Terrible fucking mindset. You need to change it up. Okay? So, this trade is, I'm actually very, again, there's two different ways you can think about this. And that's the reason why I'm not going to, okay. The reason I'll say there's two different ways you can think about this. The successful trader way and the bad trader way. The bad trader is going to say, fuck, I was up, $5,000 here. I should have sold. I should have, could have, would have done shit, blah, 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 blah. Okay. You can't go fucking back in time. So what are you going to do? Okay. Now, the way I think about this is say, you know what? I'm actually kind of glad this happened because this taught me a lot. The fact that I can come here in this charting session and get so much out of this, and imagine how this information is going to help me in the future. And imagine how much more money in the future I could possibly make by using this knowledge to my advantage, okay? And there's so much out. Number one, right? Recognizing the patience. If we're trading a 15-minute model, you got to be prepared to strap in, especially if it's a PM session, right? Number two, recognizing if your price target doesn't get hit and you can see maybe price going, against you in your favor, learn to possibly take off your position before getting stopped. Number three, if any sort of PD array, like a fair value gap or order block that is in favor of whatever the draw is, gets disrespected, that is a sign that it might reverse on you, and you need to take that into account to possibly take off your position or put your stop to break even, okay? There will be times when the market will fuck you, okay? You cannot take it personally. The only thing you can do is position yourself accordingly, have good risk management, have proper position sizing, don't over leverage, because if you're focused on making money, you're going to do all of those things. You're going to over leverage because you're obsessed with the outcome of the trade. You think you're going to hit it here, so you're like, bro, I'm about to make 5 fucking bands right now, bro. And then it flips against you like this and you get stopped. And then you fucking hit yourself and your entire day's ruined, okay? Why do you want that? Nobody wants that, okay? Because I guarantee you, a lot of you, that's how you think and that's how you feel. Because trust me, I've fucking been there, okay? You're probably like, bro, this guy's reading my mind right now. Yeah, it's because I was there, okay? I've been through every sort of fucking emotion that you are feeling, okay? And I've beaten it. So let me help you and tell you how to think, okay? Let's use this to our advantage, okay? A lot of things that we can take out of this, a lot. But most of you won't put the work to look back at something like this and actually review it, journal it, and try to actually figure out how you can use it to your advantage, right? That's what makes a good trader from a bad trader. I am constantly, always looking to improve. Always. And I'm trying to teach you guys what building good habits looks like. This is what building good habits looks like. Looking back at trades, win or lose. What did I do right? What did I do wrong? Okay, what did I do right? Had a decent model. External swept, rejection, right? A classic model, right? This is our, A+, right? Perfect. All right, that's what we did good, okay? What did we do wrong? Maybe should have scaled at the lows here. Okay, all right. What else did we do good? I took my position off when I realized I was on the wrong side of the market. All right, that's good. What did I, what could I have maybe done differently, right? Maybe at least, scaled at least maybe, a quarter here, half, right? Maybe recognized its PM session, maybe trade, a little bit differently, right? There's always something that you can use from past experiences, win or lose, right? This is still a winning trade. Now, why is it a winning trade? Because I recognized I'm not afraid to admit when market's going against me. You have to get out of the mindset of you wanting to be right. I don't fucking care if I'm right, okay? I don't care. A lot of you guys could not take your trade off right here. A lot of you could not take it off right here. When we invalidate this 5-minute breaker or 5-minute bearish fair value gap, if we don't do this and we break through this, what is that telling me? I'm like, oh shit, all right. You just got to accept it. You guys are afraid to accept what's going on in front of you. You get stuck. You get frozen. You get froze and you don't know what to do until you get stopped. And what happens is I'm not afraid to look at this and say, okay, you know what, Justin, market, you know, we sold off. You know, I want the draw to be lower, but since market just ran through this, you know, that might mean we might go higher instead of lower. And I'm okay with realizing that and saying, you know what, I'm going to protect myself and realize the data that's being presented to me right now to fix and protect myself from possibly getting stopped out or possibly, you know, some sort of future, you know, cause that's going to, you know, fuck me on this trade. And say, you know what, we broke through this. We're coming back to this, you know, bullish fair value gap. You know, this looks like a clean, you know, long setup. Why would I hold my shorts knowing this is a clean long setup? We just swept this low, big displacement back up. We're holding a 5-minute PD array. We have 7 fucking candles that are holding this. Why would I hold my shorts going into fucking close? Because a lot of you can't take off your position like that until you get stopped and you're like, all right, you know, then you look back and you're like, yeah, you know, maybe I should have fucking done that. It's because you freeze. You're afraid. You don't want to be wrong. Push your ego to the fucking side. You're not wrong. I would much rather you do this. Admit you're fucking on the wrong side. Okay? Admit it. Market is constantly feeding you data. That's why you cannot have an ego when trading. You cannot have an ego when trading. Ugh. Exactly. Do you want to be right or do you want to make money? Do you want to be successful? Do you want to build good habits or do you want to make money? Because if you're focused on making money, you're going to have a real hard fucking time. Hey, Justin, I took this short after rejecting off the 5-minute fair value gap and creating a 1-minute fair value gap. Also reached discount. We hadn't reached sell side liquidity yet, so I moved my stop to break even when I saw that we rejected the 3-minute inverse fair value gap, displaced to the upside, and broke through the bearish 1-minute fair value gap. I moved it to break even on the black arrow candle. Should I have left the position break even, or was the conviction good enough to move my stop to break even? Just want to avoid creating bad habits. Let's talk about it. All right. Wait, hold on. 5-minute fair value gap. Okay, so this purple is the 5-minute. Did you get some sort of structure on a bigger time frame? Was this today? Let me just look at. Let me see if I can find it. Was that on ES? Yeah, it was. Okay, so is this right here? I'm guessing. Yeah, it was this. Okay. Number one, first thing I'm already gonna say. Never retraced back to discount. We sweep external, big move displacement back down, have a fair value gap, right? You're expecting to see a rejection, but lower quality because we never reached discount. That's number one. Number two, what sort of PD array? Recognize what PD array is not in your favor. Well, we have a 5-minute bullish fair value gap. Okay, let's recognize that. Looking at the 1-minute. If we get a sell-off here, what do we want to see get respected? Bearish PD arrays, right? Okay, we come up, respect it, right? Get a sell-off, right? That's nice, right? Maybe. Could scale. Possibly. Okay? Again, I always like scaling at 50% too. So if this range, if you take a short, possibly scale 50. Big move up. Back into this fair value gap. Then gets rejected. Then comes up. Gets stopped. Looking back at this, I would say it's just lower quality. And the reason is because for me to take this short, there's not enough structure here. Now, it looks good. Looking at just this trade here, it would look good. Okay? But you have to look at a bigger time frame as well. You're entering off a bearish or a bullish PD array here, right? And we have not gone to discount yet. We've swept this low. We're starting to get bought up. Also keep in mind that we just broke structure to the upside. We swept this low, have a high getting broken. That becomes our market structure shift. Big displacement, and we're pulling back to discount. Where do you think the draw on liquidity is going to be? And we're not yet at discount of this entire range here. We're obviously going to come up and take this high still, okay? You have to take that into account as well. Look at how the structure is going actually to that level. We know markets are going to retrace a discount probably before selling off to whatever that sell side is. If we have confidence that the draw is lower, wait for more structure. You want again, I always like to say, you will know when the perfect entry presents itself. You'll just know. It'll be clear because you'll have so much you'll have so much structural bias. This to me looks a little bit early. Now it's not a bad trade, but I would rate it lower quality. And if you were going to take a sell here, I would take some profit off at least down here. Since again, you have to recognize what the charts look like though. Again, looking back, you have to recognize the structure, right? Does that make sense? This is a loss. I took swept buy side, then displaced and created fair value gap, then set limit in the discount, then got stopped. Again, too early. Again, I don't like that trade at all. I'll show you why. That was on NQ, wasn't it? Or no? Yes? Okay. Again, clear buy side above us. Now, you might look at this and say, oh my God, liquidity swept. Let me take a short here. Okay, but you're not taking into context overall daily bias. What did we just do? Looking at a 15-minute chart. Buy side has never swept, so we have relative equal highs up here. We just came down, swept relative equal lows, and pulled back into a breaker block. Where do you think the draw on liquidity is going to be? Zoom out. It's obviously going to be this high. Do you think this little high right here is going to do anything? No, it's not. This little high is not going to do anything. All this is doing is giving ES a chance to redistribute price and then smart money accumulation to then take buy side. Markets come down, fakes out all of those traders that want to go short. Again, notice bullish PD arrays are still being respected, right? Come down to 5-minute fair value gap, continue to hold 1, 2, 3, 4. Candles continue to hold, not a single close, right? Wicks do the damage, candles show the narrative. Continue to hold, gets bought up towards buy side. Yep, you will get A+ setups when all of the biases are in your favor, right? When every bias or every time frame bias aligns with whatever trade you want to take. Now, the reason why this trade on NQ as well, I do want to talk about this as well. NQ trade. Draw on liquidity on a bigger time frame is still higher. I am still very bullish on a bigger time frame. Again, looking on a 4-hour time frame. We just came back, held this 4-hour fair value gap. Do you think we're just going to reject off of these highs? Probably not, but I'm going to play the reaction. What do I think the draw is? Like we've been saying for a lot of charting sessions, the last 2 weeks, all of this I expect to become low resistance liquidity. What's on the daily? Daily volume imbalance. What's on the daily on ES? Daily fair value gap. That's what I think the draw is going into the next day, in the next couple days. Daily fair value gap, and I still think the draw is higher. Took the same short on Sim, even though my bias was bullish. Yep, need to be more, again, more picky you are. Being picky is a good thing. I like to say, I would much rather be picky and then see where I can improve on not being picky, right? Because there's areas where you're not going to get the perfect entry, right? But if you'd be picky and you only wait for perfect entries, you're gonna have a better, you're gonna have a better win rate. Okay, it's simple, right? It's self-explanatory, but you're not gonna do that. So be picky and then figure out how you can tweak being picky to possibly take, different more opportunities without, super, super, super high quality setups because you're not going to get those very often. All right, let's talk about my bias going into tomorrow. Let me clear up the charts. Let's take a look at ES first. Again, starting off bigger time frame first. Come down, bounced on daily fair value gap. What's above us? Another daily fair value gap. That's what I'm expecting the draw to be, especially after looking at this kind of displacement. Looking on ES, perfect buy model here. Literally perfect buy model. Bought up, lows being swept, bounce off the bigger time frame PD array, market structure shift, 1 hour breaker block, pull back, perfect bounce, coming up to sweep the highs. I think all of this becomes low resistance. I'm expecting the draw to be that daily fair value gap. If not, just run through it. Now, what could we maybe see before that happening? Well, we still have all these stacked lows here, right? This becomes low resistance as well. We're not going to come down, sweep this and then jump. We're going to sweep this low here. So, could possibly maybe see a push back down in the overnight session to sweep this and then maybe go higher. We also have a 15-minute fair value gap here that looks clear to us. Would want to watch the reaction of this as well. If we come down and hold this, I can expect the draw to be whatever that recent high is. If we come down and break through this in the overnight session, I could expect the draw to be that low. Make sense? Again, using fair value gaps to give us a bias. Inverse fair value gaps are going to tell us what the draw is. Take a look at NQ. Clear the charts. Same thing. Clear sell side below still. Haven't retraced into this 4 hour fair value gap yet. Inverse fair value gap. Clear draw. Still higher. And I still think this becomes low resistance. Looking at the daily. We have a volume imbalance. I want to see become the draw, which is pretty much just above that high. But possibly could see us sell back off, maybe sweep sell side and then go higher. But probably would expect just a move up to take out buy side in the overnight session. Can you tell me if this is a good scalping model trade? It's not bad, but this is more of a reversal, right? Scalping model is more for trends, but it's not bad. I would have to, I need to see a little bit more structure, to be honest, to tell you if that's good or not. All right, guys. That's all I have for you tonight. Justin, are you able to expand upon external versus internal lows? Yeah, external versus internal lows is all just about whatever range we're talking about, okay? If I'm looking at a 15-minute here, right? If I'm looking at just this chart right here, what's my external buy side and what's my external sell side, right? This is my external sell side because this is the low of this range. My external buy side is this high. Okay, what's my internal sell side? Probably this low. Okay, what's my internal buy side? This high. Okay, if I was to zoom in again, it would be different, right? So it all depends on whatever time frame I'm looking at, right? So if I'm looking at this time frame, like a 1 hour, what's my external buy side, right? This is my external buy side. What's my internal sell side? This, right? What's my external sell side? This, right? Because this is the range, right? This is the range. This is internal buy side of this range, right? So whenever I say external versus internal, don't let it kind of shake you up. It all just depends on whatever time frame I'm looking at. All right, guys. Thank you for coming tonight. Hopefully, you learned something from this session. Knock something in your head. I got to go get ready for boxing. So, if anybody has any extra questions, feel free to just put them in the Discord and at me, and I'll get back to you when I get back home. But enjoy the rest of your night, guys. Let me check news real quick. I don't think we have anything tomorrow, do we? We have unemployment claims 8:30, so that's pre-market. So, and then pending home sales 10. Okay, not really anything bad. Okay. Enjoy the rest of your night, guys. I will see you all tomorrow morning. Get some rest.